Hey everyone, it's Bruce from Identifying God's Best. Welcome to another episode of Guy Talk. So for this episode, we have the wonderful privilege to share with you men practical tips on how to be romantic. Practical tips on how to be romantic. So if you recall from our previous episode on what is romance from a biblical perspective, I've summed it up in 4 little categories when it comes to biblical romance. First, it involves you being thoughtful, being intentional, being pure, and being selfless. So for our practical tips in this episode, I'll focus in on the first 2 categories of being romantic. Is you being thoughtful, and second, you being intentional. So these will be the tips that center around being thoughtful and intentional. So under the category of thoughtfulness, how you can practically show that is, say for example, throughout the day that you're constantly thinking about her and sending her nice little sweet encouragements, reminders, messages of how you're thinking about her, you're praying for her, and that you are genuinely concerned about her well-being and how she's doing, whether it's at work or in class or whatever it is. Shoot her simple messages like, hey, I just thought of you. I know today's gonna be a longer day because you have work and then you have ministry, you have meetups and whatnot. I just want to say that I'm praying for you. I'm asking the Lord to continue to give you energy and that you continue to be dependent on the Lord. A simple message that you send just throughout the course of the day can be extremely powerful and romantic in building the relationship the right way. Because the girl, she is going to feel cared for, protected, cherished, and nourished by your little acts of thoughtfulness. Again, doesn't have to be super long. You don't have to write a whole essay to her within a span of 5 minutes. No, just a simple message. Hey, thinking about you. I'm praying for you. This is what I'm meditating on that you want to share with her as well. Hopefully it encourages you. Or hey, I just know you just finished an exam for your major class, whatever it is. Little messages, keep up those little communications to let her know that you're not just mindlessly dating her, but you're mindfully and thoughtfully thinking about her needs, thinking about her wants, desires, and even thinking about what she may be struggling with, and being first to respond to her and being proactive and anticipate at times when she may be a little bit more tired, be tempted to be anxious or complain or whatever it is. Get in there, be thoughtful about her, and that also shows a lot of selflessness as well. Additionally, on top of the everyday little messaging that you can do for her, you can also be thoughtful of her by keeping maybe a little journal of some sort, or mentally jot down, or maybe even write it down on your phone, little things that she really enjoys. It could be little snacks, favorite ice cream flavor, favorite food items, whatever she's into, and surprise her with these little gifts every once in a while, and make it a habit to just shower her with a lot of thoughtful small gifts. We're not talking about like extravagant gifts like where you have to buy like a dozen roses every single time, which costs what, like $60 plus nowadays just for a dozen roses. No, we're talking about just as simple as go to the grocery market, get her a favorite snack that's maybe $2-3, and just encourage her with a little encouragement note and just say, hey, thought about you because you had X, Y, and Z to take care of this week. You must be tired. I just thought I wanted to just give you your favorite snack just to cheer you up. More than that, on top of that, I'm also being intentional. Intentional, huh? By writing down maybe perhaps one of her favorite Bible verses or something that you think will be fitting to encourage her and to build her up, just to show her that you care for her both physically and spiritually. So be thoughtful, shower her with fun little gifts just throughout the month, and that can also go a long way in making her feel treasured by your constant thoughtfulness of her. You can also continue to be thoughtful of her when it comes to actually going on a date. Open the car door for her, open the door to the restaurant for her, be the leader. When it comes to walking next to the sidewalk, make sure you're walking on the outside of the sidewalk and she's actually walking inside, in the inside lane of the sidewalk, so that she feels protected by you. And you're not just, gonna toss her out to the incoming traffic at any given point, but that she'll feel secured because of your thoughtfulness as a gentleman and being chivalrous. That's also really fun and exciting. So I think these are just some ways that you can practically just be very thoughtful of your significant other, even in this dating stage. That is super fun. Again, little things matter, and little things build, and little things are extremely romantic when it comes to you being really thoughtful about the little things that she likes, the little activities that she enjoy, and the little messages that you send throughout the day. It can do a great deal of benefit for your relationship. Second, when it comes to being intentional, let's think about some practical tips that you can do to be intentional in your relationship. I think the very number one practical thing is just be spiritually minded. And here is the secret I would like to share with you all men. Being spiritually minded is extremely sexy for a godly woman. I know, what a shocker, right? Just being spiritually minded of, hey, take some time with the messaging, the thoughtful messages that you're sending to her. You can also send in, hey, this is what I read for my devotionals this morning when it comes to me spending time with the Lord. Or, hey, this is what I've been meditating on. I think it's applicable for the both of us to continue to grow in this area, whatever it may be. Or you can just let her know, hey, I'm praying for you, and I just pray for you to be selfless in your workplace, to continue to be patient with your coworkers, and continue to be a mighty and bold in spirit when it comes to your witnessing and your testimony and your work as well. Little things like that, just being thoughtful in the spiritual sense. And then that's being extremely intentional. On top of that, you can also be very intentional with every single date that you guys go on to. Just prepare something small that is centered around the word. Whether it's prepping a devotional, sharing something that you've been learning and meditating on, or just being intentional in terms of, hey, this is a profitable passage for us to study to continue to grow our relationship when it comes to communication, or when it comes to our selflessness with each other, or communicate, or just being honest with each other and growing in that way. So even planning a purposeful series of devotionals to go through on dates could be a very, very fun and intentional thing that is also extremely romantic. So yeah, just be intentional when it comes to the spiritual things as well. Don't neglect her growth. Take the time to ask her each day or each night, right before you guys go to sleep or before whatever it is. Hey, what have you been learning? How can I be there to support you, to keep you accountable? How can I continue to pray for you? Just don't be afraid, don't be shy to head into the spiritual realm, because for a godly woman, she's looking for not just the physical protection, but she's also looking for the spiritual security. Now, we understand ultimately security comes from the Lord, but then she wants to find a godly man who's able to lead her well and be able to encourage her on a timely manner, on a consistent manner, being able to build her up in her weaknesses, being able to support her in her strengths and all that stuff. She's looking for that even within the dating period. And you can do that just by being very intentional. Now, we're not talking about like you have to prep like a 40-minute sermon or 45-minute or an hour lesson on a specific issue that she's struggling with. No, simple little acts of thoughtfulness and intentionality of, hey, I thought about this verse and I thought about you. Just want to quickly encourage you with that. So being thoughtful, being intentional, go hand in hand together. Never, ever, ever leave out the spiritual component when it comes to biblical dating, because that really sets the core foundation of the strength of the relationship as well. So hopefully these are some good practical tips to help you with. And here and there, those little flowers that you can give her, shower her every few months or so on important dates and anniversaries. Remember her anniversaries. I mean, that's as practical as it gets. Don't forget about your dating anniversary. Probably means something to her, and it should mean something to you as well. And be creative. Don't be afraid to think of like little silly anniversaries that you get to celebrate. Like, oh, this is the first time that we ever went ice skating together. And from now on, every year you'll have an ice skating anniversary. Those are the little things, again, just being thoughtful and intentional. It can really build a lot of warmth and a lot of strength in your relationship as you guys are determining whether or not you truly are God's best for each other. So hopefully these are fun little helpful tips for you to think through. If you have a practical tip that is really good that you want to encourage the rest of the men here, feel free to comment below. Let us know what other practical romantic tips you have for the men that are God-honoring, that are biblical, and that we can all just share ideas and help each other out, help another brother out. So thank you for tuning in for another episode of Identify God's Best Guy Talk. If you have any other questions from the guy perspective and you want to pick my brain or just see how it can be viewed from a biblical perspective, please also comment below. Let us know what questions you have specifically for the men, and I'll be more than happy to do another video on that. So take care. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and share this video and all the other videos that we have with your family members, with your friends, with your significant other, anyone and everyone who needs to hear solid biblical content behind dating and finding God's best for their life. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day.